Hi, my name's Phil Binks. Today I want to talk about LUTs, lookup tables, which are really colour correction tables for video editing. The creation of a lookup table is essentially just a colour correction preset that you can then apply to subsequent footage that's generally applied if the footage is filmed in the same environment as the LUT was made. Now there are creative LUTs which are out there to help people achieve particular looks, dark, moody, light and airy, those kind of looks on a film. But for live streaming, most people would want to be using a LUT to give a realistic impression of the subject, i.e. the presenter. So in order to successfully create a LUT for your live streaming, what you'll need to do is have a fixed environment. Now that fixed environment includes the lighting and the same camera and indeed the lens, and if you're using some sort of application, then the same application from which you are making your video recording. All of those things can make a difference to the way the colour looks once the video is captured. So it's critical when creating a realistic colour correction LUT. Once you have those in place, you can simply make a short recording, maybe 10 or 15 seconds. Make sure that you include a person and preferably a white point and some grey midtones. If you have those and you have any specific colours that you want to include, then all of that is very helpful as well. The LUT creation process is simply opening a video file in a video editing program, making the colour corrections and saving those essentially as a preset, which is called a LUT, a lookup table. So if you're still interested in how to do this, just follow on through to the next part of the video. So this video is to show you the way that a LUT, a lookup table, will affect your video coloration. What we see here is a raw video shot on an iPhone in a studio with controlled lighting. So I then open up Adobe Premiere, and this allows me to load up the footage of the raw file that I've shot so that I can then apply my corrections and save those as a lookup table. The reason I'm showing a book is because it's a really good idea to have a white point and maybe a grey point in the file so that you can use those for assessing your colour corrections. Here I now open up the Adobe Lumetri Colour panel, and we're looking in the basic correction area. Now the basic correction area is very similar to colour correction in any photographic program, whether it's Photoshop or Lightroom. The Lumetri colour correction panel is the colour correction for video within Adobe Premiere. It allows me to then make adjustments to things like exposure, to the shadow detail, the whites and the blacks, and I just want to tweak those along. Just make as many changes as you like. This is not fixed at any point yet, and we'll come back to this panel just to make final tweaks. Below this panel, the basic correction panel, we have a creative panel, and that includes things like the sharpening and saturation sliders. The sharpening slider is quite an interesting one. This will allow us to blur an image if we want to. So what I've done is I've just zoomed in to just give myself a little bit of a better idea of the result of the sharpening slider. Just to show you, we can drag it all the way to the left to blur and then bring it slightly gently back to give ourselves a good sharpness. I'm just adding a little bit of vibrance here just to boost up the colours. The next slider down is one called the curves slider. Again, most photographic people will be very used to what the curves will do, but you can basically adjust the contrast of the image or make adjustments to the highlights and the shadow areas individually. Adobe Premiere has a range of very interesting corrections. Here I'm in the one that says hue versus luma, which means I can pick a colour and make it lighter or darker. It's a very interesting methodology for colour correction, and one that you don't commonly see in photographic colour correction programs, even from Adobe. So I'm happy with those corrections that I've made, and now what I would do is go to the top and I can export what they call a cube file, and the cube file is actually a LUT, a lookup table file. So I've chosen a folder in which to put my LUT, I've named it, and I will simply hit the save button. So now I have a saved LUT that I can now apply to any other footage that's taken and shot in the same colour environment. So I go to the browse button, and from here I select the latest LUT file, which is this cube file here, and you see immediately that the screen relates to the colour change of the LUT. What you'll also notice is that in the dialog boxes for basic colour correction and the creative colour correction, there are no adjustments shown. Once a LUT has been applied to a file, then further colour correction is allowed over the top of that, with all of the values zeroed in your video editing application. Here I'm just alternating between the LUT applied image and then turning it on and off, just so that you get an idea of the kind of change the LUT has made. And here is the original video footage, just showing the raw footage and the area with the LUTs highlighted to show the kind of improvement that you should expect to get from a proper standard lighting colour correction LUT. If you found this video useful, please hit the like and the subscribe button, and I look forward to being helpful for you in the future.